Hi everyone and welcome to the tutorial on making your own snow bases. Here's a picture of the materials we need for this project. This is the slate, coarse sand, bicarbonate of soda, chippings, PVA glue, a container to be able to collect the coarse sand and the bicarbonate of soda in, an all-purpose glue or a super glue so that we can attach the slate to the base, an old paintbrush and a tool to be able to move the material on your base with. So here are the paintbrushes and the paints I'll be using. We have a black primer which is going to be using an airbrush, but any black acrylic paint works just as well and you apply it with the brush, or you can use a spray propellant, so such as Chaos Black from Games Workshop. Below that we have Devlin Mud, which is a wash from the Citadel range, a standard brown acrylic paint, Snakebite Leather, Fortress Grey and Skull White. The paintbrushes I'm going to be using is a dry brush, a wash brush, a standard brush and then a detail brush. So this is the first step to the tutorial. We're going to be using a bag of slate and we're just going to sprinkle it out on the table and select a nice flat piece that will fit on our base. The base I'll be using is a 25mm round base for Warhammer 40,000, and we need to get a piece which won't overhang the edges so much, and it will be able to, the miniature will be able to stand flat on it, so you don't want something which is raised so much or rounded. That's why slate works really well. So once you've found a piece of slate that you're happy with, you need to be able to attach it to the base. So apply a small amount of your all-purpose glue or super glue to the bottom of the piece of slate on the flattest side and then attach it to the base. Remember when using glue to always put the cap back on the glue so it doesn't dry. Once that is dried, you're ready to apply your sand. So grab a container, your coarse sand and your PVA glue. Use your old paintbrush to be able to move the PVA glue around the base. Once you have applied white PVA glue around the outside of the base, put it in your container and sprinkle on your sand. Once you're happy with the base and the way it looks with the sand, I'm just going to add a little bit of detail. So here comes the chippings. Just sprinkle some out, select one which you think will look right on the slate and use all-purpose glue again to attach it. Once that is completely dry, you're ready to prime it with your black paint. For this I'm going to use an airbrush, but again you can use any standard black acrylic paint and apply it with a brush, or you can use any Citadel or spray propellant to base coat. Now that the black primer has been applied to the base, we're ready to paint the rocks with our greys. We're going to start by doing a heavy dry brush with Fortress Grey on all of the rocks on the base. Make sure you're using your dry brush. With that heavy dry brush of the Fortress Grey out of the way, we're now going to do a 50-50 mix of Skull White and the Fortress Grey. We're not going to wash our brush, and we're just going to go ahead, mix those colours and do another dry brush to highlight the edges on the rocks. Now for the third highlight, just to make the rocks pop out that little bit more and to give that cold winter rock feel, we're going to use Skull White on its own with a light dry brush just on the top edges of the rocks. Now that the rocks have been painted, we're going to start by working on the base. Take your standard brush as well as your brown acrylic base colour and just paint the outside of your base around the rocks. Once the brown base coat colour has dried, we're going to use Snakebite Leather and do a heavy dry brush just to highlight some of the areas we've painted brown. Now to give the winter feel on the base, we're going to use Skull White on its own with our dry brush and apply it over the base and onto the rocks. Now to give the base a little bit more depth, we're going to use the Devlin Mud from Citadel and get your wash brush and use it neat from the container and apply it to the base itself. Once the base is completely dry, we're going to start working on creating the snow flock. For this we need bicarbonate of soda, a container, a tool so we can move the actual flock around on the base. We need a spoon so we can just collect some of the bicarbonate of soda and sprinkle it on, and some PVA glue. So as you can see, the bicarbonate of soda looks like snow already, but unfortunately we can't just sprinkle it on, you need to get a good mix. Another thing about bicarbonate of soda, it's not suitable for children, and please do not mistake it for sugar. It shouldn't be consumed at all. So we start by just putting a small amount of PVA glue in the container and sprinkle on the bicarbonate of soda, roughly the same amount of PVA glue, and just give it a good mix. Always start with the PVA glue first, never start with the bicarbonate of soda. Give it a good mix, and the consistency should be of like a toothpaste, a very thick toothpaste. Once you're happy with the consistency, simply grab your tool and start applying it to the base in areas where you think snow would collect. When you're happy with how the snow looks, just tidy the outside by using your finger. The base will dry solid, and as you can see, has a really nice effect. The great thing about it, you can layer it up to be able to create tall stacks of snow. You can use multiple bits of slate to be able to build up layers for nice variation. To add extra detail, you can even use grass tufts. Hope this video has been informative, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas.